Welcome. Thought I'd do something a little bit different today with a Q&A session. So I put a little post out there asking people if they had things that's been running through their mind they wanted me to answer. So we'll get to some of those. Before we get to those questions posted, I figured I'd go ahead and answer the two most popular questions I get on my channel. What sleeves do I use, and what are those card holders that I'm always using? So recently I changed over to Dragon Shields, clear matte sleeves. I like the texture and feel of them, and using them with Marvel Champions. Really enjoy them. They are a bit more expensive, so they're what I consider the top tier. Before that, I had been using Fantasy Flight game sleeves for probably over a decade. They had size for pretty much every card size you would find. They recently discontinued that, so I went looking for another brand that had the same size. Couldn't find any, switched around, and then Sleeve Kings did a Kickstarter, so they have changed their sizes to fit these sizes because I reuse sleeves. So I'll sleeve a game. If I'm done with it and I cull it, I take the sleeves off, sell the game, next game comes in. So I do like having the same size sleeves, and this is just the brand that I picked up first. Most of the premium sleeves to me seem all the same, so Game Genic, Ultra Pro, and so forth. The other thing, card holders I use, these are Uber Stacks, and you can check more about them on uberstacks.com. Do not have any affiliation with them. They're just something I love. They hold my cards fine, and they recently came out with Uber trays, and they will connect together and you can hold your games on that. So those are the two most common questions I get. And with that out of the way, we'll go ahead and get to the ones posting online. So first off, we have Emily Grace asking a question, and that's a beautiful name, Emily. Thoughts about your favorite kid? So you might think that's a weird one. Well, my kid watches my YouTube channel a lot and probably one of my biggest supporters there. So obviously, Emily is my favorite kid. She's my only kid. And as she'll say, I'm her favorite dad. Well, I'm her only dad. And since this is about talking about games, she's kind of responsible for why I got into this hobby. When she was a little girl, I decided we liked reading books, so we'd stop into a comic shop one day to pick up some other things for her that we could read along with, and noticed a lot of people around there playing some games, and HeroClix was going on. So this was probably close to 20 years ago. So we asked if they would teach us how to play. Store owner, or the people, not so much the owner, just people running in the place, great to help us out. Like I said, these were mostly adults. I mean, 20 years and up. I walk in there with a 6-7-year-old kid and say, hey, can you teach us a game? They did a great job. Steve was the guy that came over. Funny story. He eventually became her high school teacher, and he currently has a comic shop of his own. So if you're in Harrisonburg, Virginia, look up The Secret Lair and go over and support their comic store. So from that, like I said, we went back a couple times. She did not like playing the game. She liked playing with the action figures. So kind of took a break, but I'd stop in every now and then, getting her more comic books and look at more games. And eventually started going back a lot more and meeting other people. And to this day, I'm still playing with a couple of people that I met from that group almost 20 years later. So it was a good start for me into the hobby, and I have my daughter to thank for that, I guess. She also plays some games with me. The DC deck building game was one that we played the most. Of course, Rummy's probably the game we play most often. It's just easy, sit down and chat. And I will have to tell you, when it comes to Rummy, she is probably one of the best trash talkers out there. Yeah, we have a lot of fun when we play games, so really enjoy doing that. I guess another game she enjoyed was Space Base. So those are the three big hits with her. So we'll move on to the next question. Always nice to promote my daughter, who promotes this website. So Matthew, a lot more stuff here. So his question is, I think just where you started, what drove you to make the initial content, and where you want the channel to go is a big one. Clearly board games are a personal passion of yours, and you have genres and types of games that you enjoy. You make awesome content on that and just express your experiences for us to know more about the games we might be interested in. And I'll stop there and just say that is my main purpose for this channel. It's not so much doing reviews, comparing other games to another, even though I do that sometimes. And after I play a game, I might give some initial impressions. I guess I should go back to that comic shop. After a while, starting demoing games there just to teach people how to play. And that's the purpose for this channel to me. These are games I'm interested in that you might not be, or you want to get more information. So I just like bringing those out, showing you how it's played, and let you decide if that's a game that fits your play style or not. So that kind of sums that up. So do you want to stay the same and be an unboxing and gameplay channel where you cover lots of different games? Or are there other opportunities or projects you might want to try out with the channel? Think you've got a great system in place and a community that likes what you do, but just curious if you would, or if you wish you could do something else on the channel. I think another question based on all the content I watch you play would be, being that you've done so much Marvel Champions and clearly it's a living card game and ever expanding, do you feel slightly worn out from playing it all the time, or has it lost its charm? Are you still really happy with the game and keep coming back because it is still fun? So Matthew, that's very in-depth, a lot of things going on there. So we'll go back to the beginning there. Why did I start with the initial content? Basically, I'm not a tech-savvy guy. I just love the board game hobby. Doing demos kind of didn't work out for me, so I just wanted to see what it took. And of course, some people in the game group were talking about it that I've been in for a long time about, hey, you need this camera with these lights and all these other things. And they're talking about, you know, needing $4 to $5 grand to get started. And I was like, I think you can do it with just your smartphone. So that was my first video that I put out, was just seeing, hey, can I do this with just a smartphone and some of the things that I have at the house? And if you go back to that video, it's kind of embarrassing. Hopefully I've gotten better. In my opinion, I have. But I had a white table with a smartphone straight over top of it, lights straight on top of that. So I think there was shadow, of course, white with a bright light coming on it, a lot of reflection. But you got to start somewhere, and that's what I did. So over the past 2 years, I've learned, don't record staring at a bright white table, and don't have your lights directly above what you're trying to film for the reflection. Got a lot of comments on sound, so I learned from there. Get yourself a microphone of some sort. This is a $15 lavalier mic from Amazon. So basically my channel is built on stuff I already had, plus this $15. So a lot of it was just me learning, hey, can you do this, and kind of get that out there. So lights turned into turning off the overhead lights, putting desk lamps off to the side so light comes in from the side, and just learning from that. So it still is a little awkward. You can probably tell I'm looking at a computer screen. If you wear glasses, you definitely don't want your main light source in front of you, but sometimes that just happens. So it came down to, I just wanted to learn, could you do it with your smartphone? So I think the answer to that is yes. I'm still using an iPhone 8, and I have upgraded some lights, but I mean, the lights and things I do have are $25 from Amazon. I have not spent a lot of money on doing this. And I guess that's one thing I'm trying to stress is my hobby to me is gaming. YouTube is just another side thing to share my hobby with. So if I spend a whole lot of money on tech, I can't buy games. And that's where the fun is. Yeah, spend a lot just on that. But that's basically how I got started and why I got started. Where do I want the channel to go? I never thought I would get this far. I figured, hey, I might get 100 people. It'll be fun. Might meet some new people along the way. And that has been the most surprising thing that I have seen from this channel. I expected, well, I'll start with the easy part. I expected this channel to be 100 to 99.9% males watching the game. I expected the 0.1% to be my daughter. My wife knows about the channel, but she doesn't watch unless she's really bored, which I don't think she gets that bored. There's so many other things on to watch. But the thing that has shocked me, I assumed 99% of my audience would be the United States. Come to find out, that's only 40% of the people that watch my channel. So YouTube has some nice analytics, And so I've got people from all over the world watching me. So that is amazing to me. And a lot of them have reached out. I love talking to people from the UK, Australia, Europe, I mean, Korea, everywhere. I love seeing it. And of course, everyone in the US and Canada, and elsewhere. So to me, that's amazing. And one of my passions or hopes is that one day I can get out and meet some of these people at conventions and just put more faces to the games that we're playing and have some fun. So as far as where do I want this channel to go, I'm happy doing what I'm doing. I guess I provide content that I enjoy watching myself. So to me, I like seeing how a game plays. I do enjoy watching someone's review, but I didn't want to start off doing that because if you don't know me, the review doesn't mean anything. So, I mean, I'll pick on Tom Vassell with the Dice Tower. He's been around forever, and even though we might not play the same games, I understand his game taste, that when he gives a review, I can understand what he likes and figure out, hey, is this a game I might like or might not? So I just figured with the playthroughs, I'm showing someone, hey, this is how the game plays. You can see the setup, what you're doing, and then make that decision. And the unboxings is the bonus that, yeah, you might see a game play through, but you don't see all the stuff in that gameplay. So I like doing the unboxings. And that is going to be the bulk of what I do on this channel. Now, I have picked up doing some Kickstarter things. Basically, I just do that when something really pops out of my eye that I want. So I used to just do a post of going, hey, look what I just bought. And then some people were asking, could you do a video on that showing why you like it? So that's something that pops up. I mean, I try to keep my Kickstarters down to one a month. Finances are always a thing, so that's where that goes. All right, so do you want to stay in the same? Are there other opportunities or projects that you want to try out with the channel? I think I mentioned I'm not all that tech savvy, so when it comes to live streams and things like that, my internet connection is not the best. When I have done some live streaming with other people, I usually freeze up on that frame, and I know it just gets awkward. So I would like to do it at some point, especially with other people. It's just not, well, the two things. The internet streaming I have is not the best, and I don't know how to record it and get that reposted. So I just don't have the tech savviness to figure that out. So I'm sticking with what I have figured out and seems to be working. All right, so the other question, let's see. Marvel Champions, am I getting tired of it? Marvel Champions is a rarity. Before COVID came around, I mean, initially, I guess I should go back. When I started this channel, I thought I was going to be sitting in a game store with my friends and recording all that. And I quickly found out lighting, microphones, and distractions was not going to work in a game store with a lot of other people. So I kept it down to, hey, I'm going to show you my 2 to 4 player games, and of course solo games have really taken off the past year, so that's really helped. So Marvel Champions is a game that I love playing solo and multiplayer. Do I get slightly worn out from playing it? Has it lost its charms? I mean, that's why I do highlight a lot of other games. I think if I was a Marvel Champions only, I would probably have already burnt out on it. I do like playing a lot, but then I do like taking a couple weeks off and get some other games in. So I like playing a lot of different games. I'm not an expert in any, but, well, I play a few and I'm okay at most games. So I'm still happy with the game. I love what they're doing. Like I said, the Galaxies thing, they've done a lot of things and upped the difficulty. I think I pointed out a long time ago, I mean, standard and expert has always been fun for me. And then they came out with the, rookie and heroic. I think I stated out early on, heroic was not for me. Basically, when I'm playing games, especially solo, I'm relaxing. My day job taxes my brain enough. So when I come home to play solo games, I just want to cool down and chill a little bit. Now, when I get with my group of friends, I don't mind the extra difficulty on that because I can start laughing. It's a lot more fun with that. So it still has a charm. Love the game. doing what I'm doing on the channel. I'm happy with it. Like I said, I would like to get out and explore with other YouTubers and just other viewers. So hopefully one day, well, COVID is going away slowly, and hopefully that can go. So thanks for that deep, in-depth question. Going on to the next one, a lot less stuff there. So what specific aspects of a game do you look for, make it fun for you? And what things do you see in a game that makes you avoid playing? So my favorite mechanic is deck building games. I think that is the only thing I've done a top 5 list for, because it's one of those games. A lot of the genres, I try to keep 1 to 2 of each type of genre. Deck building, I've got tons of deck building games in my collection. So that's my favorite mechanic. I like rolling dice, and I like moving miniatures around the board. So very thematic. A lot of people would call it Amera Trash. I like what I think Sam Healy did for the Dice Tower. He called it Amera Thrash. So I just like heavily themed games and the deck building aspects. So what things do you see in games that you avoid? Real-time games, that's chaos for me. I will sit back and watch other people do it, but I think it's like Escape or some other games like that where everyone's rolling dice at the same time, trying to do things going around. That's chaotic and too much like work sometimes for me. So I will sit back and watch all the chaos and laugh and have fun while they do it. But as far as coming into playing it, that's something I avoid. Heavy Euro, heavy thinky puzzle type games, I stay away from. Like I said, by the time I get home from work, my brain is already shot. I just want to wind down and relax. And rules heavy games. I don't want to read a manual. My day job, I'm reading a lot of laws and regulations. So I don't want to read a 30-page manual on rules. And yes, some people are probably saying, but you like Marvel Champions. There's some things about Marvel Champions that I should not like about that game, but for some reason it clicks with me. Might be the theme, but it works. All right, next, Adam wants to know, how did you get into board gaming? Is it part of your living job? I wish. Do you have got some random questions here. So how did I get into board gaming? Well, I guess I can go back to when I was a kid. We had the Monopoly, Payday kind of stuff. A lot of Yahtzee and just card games. And then, of course, talked about my daughter. She kind of showed me the new board game scene. So that's how I got into it, and I fell in with a good group from that store. Like I said, I've been gaming with 4 of those people for almost 20 years, and another came in just a few years after that. So that's how I got into it, and like I said, found the right group. We have very similar taste in games, and it has worked for us. It's part of my living job. Nope, not at all. My job, I'm in regulatory compliance. So like I said, at the day job, very focused, very detailed. When I sit down to play a game, I am fine with not getting all the rules right. I'm having fun. And going back to HeroClix, one of the great things in that rule book that I enjoyed, I hate playing a game and then all of a sudden you get to a rule and you just don't know what to do and you start going to the FAQs online. HeroClix has a rule in it that goes, if you get into that situation, have a dice roll off. Whoever wins that, that's how you play the game for the rest of the day until someone figures out how to play it. I love that. Yes, I know that frustrates a lot of people. Yes, I like to get games right. I'm human, make mistakes, but ultimately I want to have fun when I'm sitting down at the table and not argue about rules. That's my day job. So, do I have a storage solution for Marvel United? Not a good one. Basically what I did, I think it's got 7 or 8 boxes. I'm down to 4 boxes now. I've got one box that I fit all of the villains in. Another box has all of the heroes in. The next box, I did upgrade for the cardboard components. So that's got that and all the tokens. And then I picked up one of these shoe boxes. Got a bunch of dividers And that's where all the heroes and villain cards are separated so I can easily get them. So not a good system, but it's what I've got for now. And I don't know what it's going to look like when I get all the X-Men stuff. All right, moving on. Current favorite game, Marvel Champions. I feel like that's going to be my number one for quite a while, but something could bump it out at some point. It did not start at my number one the year it came out. Most looked forward to game, The Witcher. That's supposed to be coming to Kickstarter this month. When it was first released, super excited. Then I found out it was truly competitive, 2 to 4 players. And then I think with their last update, they said it would have a solo and co-op. So I believe I'm already all in no matter what it comes out with. I do regret I never got my hands on the first Witcher adventure board game from Fantasy Flight. Of course, you can't find it anywhere. I think the last I looked, it was on eBay for $200. Not paying $200 for a $60 game. But yes, I'm looking forward to The Witcher and Rock Manor Games. Let's see, what is their game? Maximum Apocalypse. They have another expansion coming out for that, I believe, sometime this month. So looking forward to that, and I'm going to pick that game up too. And get my, don't have gin or bourbon like some other channels like to do. I got my red Gatorade, so sinus season here in Virginia, so trying to keep that so I don't end up coughing. All right, most nostalgic game. That's a tough one. Growing up, I was always into G.I. Joe and, good grief, some superhero stuff and just sports. My family played a lot of spades. So let me reach over here. So for me, nostalgia is The Crew when it comes to board games. I've competed, my sisters are very competitive in games. So The Crew has always been bragging rights. So, or not The Crew, but Spades has always been bragging rights. So when a trick-taking game came out that was cooperative, I think this was a huge hit for everyone I played. Basically, if you like spades, hearts, those type of games, The Crew is cooperative, and it just works so well. Games are pretty quick. I probably have 200 plays of this game in with different people, different player counts, and it's just a ton of fun. So the nostalgic part is the trick-taking mechanic, and just making it cooperative. So it gets a lot more fun with the family. And there's some trash talking if you make bad decisions. So a lot of fun with that. Do you have an established gaming group or routine that you'll be able to get back to once you can overcome COVID restrictions? Yes, I do. We, like I said, almost 20 years, there's been 6 of us. We meet every Saturday for almost 2 decades. And COVID had 2 of them drop out. So I've seen them on occasion in parking lots to trade a game or something, but they have not come to the game group. So I'm hoping in the next couple months, everyone's getting all of their vaccines and we can get back together. The other 4, one has recently moved away. And the others, we went through about, I think, a 2-month period where we couldn't game. But then we got together wearing masks. All of us live very secluded and have, well, jobs where things are definitely mandatory with masks and things. So it wasn't too risky, in my opinion, for us to get together. And of course, we all game together. Nothing happened. We're all fine. But it is going to be nice to get most of us back together. So yes, I do have a good play group and it's been a lot of fun. Favorite solo, group, and party game. Solo right now, of course, Marvel Champions. Group, Marvel Champions are great, that I love it in a group, but I think when we all get back together, Battlestar Galactica, that's got to be with the right group of people, and it is a 2+ hour game. but that's my favorite group game. As for party games, I don't play many party games at all. My daughter loves the party games, and my daughter, to much dismay of my wife, got my twisted sense of humor, I guess you can say. Doesn't show up on camera much because it's hard to make stupid, silly jokes by yourself. But Cards Against Star Wars right now is probably my favorite party type game. Rude, crude, socially unacceptable, but we have senses of humor and it goes over well. Favorite other YouTube board game channels. All right, this is one that I'm scary to even go into because I'm afraid I'm going to miss someone. There are a ton of great channels out there. So just strictly game channels. I'm going to start with how it all started. Scott Nicholson and Tom Vassell. They were pretty much the only things you had back when, well, over a decade ago. YouTube was very small. They did some things. I love their content and still follow them today. So Scott took some time off, but he's back doing board games and other things. And of course, Tom Vassell has exploded at the Dice Tower. I've been to Gen Con once, walking through the event halls, and there goes this tall guy. He's taller than you expect. And a little starstruck. I mean, everyone else in my group was like, "Why are you freaking out, Dale?" I was like, "It's Tom Vassell." And none of them knew who it was. So I got to meet him and Eric Summerer. Top-notch fellas. They were great. Like I said, I'm sure it's weird when someone comes out, "Hey, you're Tom Vassell, and do you mind getting a picture with me?" kind of thing. So they were cool about it. Got a picture, and that was a great experience for me. I mean, number one, being at Gen Con. I've been once. Played some great games, and I got to see someone who's been teaching me what games I should be getting. So other YouTuber channels that I watch. Rodney Smith, Watch It Played. Usually if I'm watching YouTube for board games, I'm trying to figure out, am I going to like a game, and how do you play a game that you've just got? Rodney Smith has done that great. He's got a great sense of humor. Just a lot of fun to watch. And then if a lot of people say if imitation is a form of flattery, once I started getting into other games, solo games especially, Adam Smith, somewhat related to Rodney Smith from Rolling Solo. He's probably one of the big inspirations for me in gaming, and you probably noticed my channel is a lot like him with our play styles. We've got that, hey, these are my hands, this is how the game works kind of thing. Also with Colin and Mike over at the One Stop Co-op Shop. I love watching them. Let me see here, looking through my channel, who else pops up. Rob Oren over at Rob's Tabletop World. He, old guy from, well, I don't want to say old guy, but he was one of the older folks of the Dice Tower. Went off on his own, and love watching him. Painting miniatures, just love watching his stuff too. There's another Rob over at Rob's Gaming Table. So he does a lot of solo plays and also teams up with his wife Mel. He does a lot of his stuff live and is very active with the chat. So it's great to go in there, chat with everyone in chats, pick on Rob while he's playing games, and he does a great job picking right back at us. So a lot of fun there. Jeremy Howard, who's moved over to Man vs. Meeple. And let me see. That's pretty much who I guess compare my site to. For Kickstarter stuff, Alex over at Board Game Co., who's shot up like crazy. And of course, Jesse over at Quackalope, and Jesse and Jan. I did go up and see them recently. They are just like they are on screen. So that was a blast, just gaming with them for a while and seeing a bigger studio with actual big cameras and lights and everything. King of Average, and also Brian, fairly new channel over at the Game Brigade. So Kickstarter news, those are the 4 places I go for that. Then probably another question people ask is, who do I watch for Marvel Champions? And to be honest, I don't watch much Marvel Champions content on YouTube. Like I said before, most of the time when I'm watching Marvel, or when I'm watching board games on YouTube, I'm trying to figure out, am I going to like a new game, or how to play a new game. Marvel Champions, I kind of know how to play. Yes, I make mistakes here and there, but everyone is wonderful and letting me know what I should be doing. So, but because I do have a lot of Marvel Champions, I have spoken with a lot of other players and gamers on YouTube. So if Fantasy Flight Games, haven't spoken with them, but I'll hit the sites that I haven't spoke to. Fantasy Flight Games, if the developers are playing a game, I do want to watch that. I love hearing some playtesting things and some of the nuances in gaming, or the rules and timing from those guys. Let's see, Team Covenant. Those two, they like playing heroic and a lot more harder things. And I will point out, their store does have a subscription service. So you can sign up for that, and you don't have to remember every month when something comes new. The new shiny stuff from Marvel Champions shows up at my door. So I subscribe and get all my Marvel Champions content from Team Covenant. So be sure to check out their website and order from those. All right. So on to some of the other channels for Marvel Champions who I've met because I have a YouTube channel. They reached out to me, or we just found out about each other. One of them is going to be the Brant from Step Into the Portal. I've done a couple podcasts with him, and they also do a lot of Marvel Champions is one of their main things, but they do a lot of other games. Steve over at Beat the Game, he does only Marvel Champion stuff, and he loves this game, maybe a little bit more than I do. But one of the neat things he does, he knows several languages, so he plays Marvel Champions in English, French, and I think he heard one time he might do some Spanish stuff there. So get a lot of content from that. And then also there's Red Plays, or Red, I think his real name is Steve, but over at Crazy Jackalope Games. So he's another guy that I found out real early when I was starting my channel, and we have very similar taste in games. Little jealous of his setup. He's got a big room with all the tech stuff, but those are three other channels that I don't so much, well, I do watch on occasion, but a lot more times we're just chatting and talking about the game. So hopefully I haven't missed too many people. There are tons of game content stuff out there. So let me know who your favorite is. Go ahead and put that down in the comments below. Those are the ones I watch most often. So where else are we? All right, we got my board game channels. Like I said, if I miss someone, I apologize, but those are the ones I watch most often. And do you think I've asked too many questions? Not at all. Thanks for asking there, Adam. Next, we've got Chloride Scenario Time. Some maniac has broken into your game room and is holding them hostage. You get the chance to sneak in but get caught. You've got time to grab 3 games and escape, but you'll lose the rest. Which 3 do you pick and why? Well, I think in that scenario, it's time for someone to roll initiative, because it's not going to go that way. But since I'll let you be the DM in this, we'll assume the place is on fire and I don't have much time to go. So which 3 do I pick and why? That comes down to me. I've got insurance that I think I can get most of these games back from. So I'm going to go for the games that are out of print or hard to get. And the first one that comes to mind is Battlestar Galactica. I don't believe that game will ever leave my collection. Even if I get too old to play, that might just hang up on the wall, because just the games I have played of that just have some great memories with. The other one I'm probably going to get a lot of slack for. That is going to be Batman Love Letter. That game is out of print. I have probably bought that game 20 times. It is my most, I give that game away to a lot of people when we used to, like if I'd play with new people that haven't played games before, sit down, very easy. It's Batman themed, based off of Love Letter. You've got a hand of 1 card. Every turn you draw a card and play a card and do what it says. And just have a lot of fun with that game. And like I said, I think at the time it was like a $15, $20 game. So if people liked it, especially if they had kids, I'd be just like, here, have this, and I'd go buy me another one. Last time I did it, I realized it was out of stock and hard to get, so I've bought me another copy, and that one's staying with me, so that's another one I'll pick up. And then what other games do I have around here that I think I'll never find again? Well, probably since DC Deck Building has been such a great game for family, my daughter, nieces and nephews. Just because of that, we all have done our Batman voice. And so those are probably the three I'd go with. So let's see, what do we have going on next? Mr. L wants to know if you can only play 5 tabletop games for the rest of your life, what games would they be? Let me see here. Number 1 would be Marvel Legendary. Just because of all the content. Deck building is my favorite thing to do. Legendary has been out for over a decade. There's so much content. I don't have it all, but I've had a lot of fun with that game. Battlestar Galactica, yeah, and Fire, that's the first game I'm picking up. So that's one. Shadows of Brimstone. Basically, it's a role-playing game, dungeon explore, except you don't have a DM. The game plays itself, and I have so much content, I think I could play that a long, long time. Dungeons and Dragons may be some kind of a cheat. I know you said tabletop games, so I'm going to try to fit that in there as role-playing and some of their tabletop games. And the other one would be, yes, Marvel Champions. Assuming if I can play a certain game for the rest of my life, all the new content can be added to it. So, yep, a couple Marvel games there. And unfortunately, DC Deck Building didn't make that list. So if Dungeons and Dragons is a cheat, the DC Deck Building game is coming in. Man, those are some tough questions there. So Andre, did you play the whole campaign of Batman Gotham City Chronicles? So Batman is my favorite superhero. Up there with Superman, even though I play Marvel games all the time, just like in the movies. I don't think their game quality has caught up with the Marvel universe. So Batman Gotham City Chronicles, sitting way up on my shelf. I only played a couple games of that, so yes, did not get through the full campaign. Basically what it came down to was the rules were written like a legal document, made it hard to find. I think all the information was in there, just very difficult to get to. And there was so much iconography, super hard to teach that to new players. Seemed like all we ever did was go, what's this symbol do? What's that symbol do? The component quality was still one of the best games out there, in my opinion. One day when I get super bored, I'd like to paint the miniatures, but I don't see that happening because I barely find time to paint the miniatures on the games I play. But it's a game that's going to stay in my collection. It's just not a game that actually gets played. Dave wants to know, what are your favorite books? Book series? So I read rule books and environmental compliance law books. So when I do get to something fun to read, Star Wars, The Throne Trilogy, that's probably my best book out there. I like the Da Vinci Code. I liked Angels and Demons, the book, a lot better. And then Star Wars had another 9 series book thing that I think was Legacy of something. So those are my favorite books I've read. What do I do for a living? I'm in environmental compliance. I work at a university to make sure all the construction sites are following the rules and that all the activities they're doing are meeting environmental quality standards. So like I said, there's a lot of reading, explaining, reporting. It's an okay job. We'll put it that way. All right, my top 10 favorite games. People have been asking me that for a long time, and it's hard for me to make a list. How people make a top 100 or more list is beyond me. Basically, when I sit down at the table to play a game, a lot of it comes down to what's my mood, who are the other people, how much time do we have, and things like that. So I can easily say Marvel Champions is number 1 for now, Battlestar Galactica is next in line. And I think a couple months ago I said Shadows of Brimstone was number 2. Yep, they slipped. BSG is back to number 2. Then I'll probably go with The Crew. I've been getting a lot of plays in that in. Cthulhu Death May Die is in there. Then I'll probably get my deck building fix with Marvel Legendary, DC deck building game, and Aeon's in. And to finish off, I'll go with the Arkham Horror. And you can pick the card game or the board game. It depends on the day of the week. I think that's 10 games there. And if someone asks me again next week, something will probably be different. Top 3 is probably going to be there, but the others might change. I should go through and do videos on my top 50 or 100 games. Probably I could just show you the games on my shelf. I have limited space, and you look behind me and go, "You've got tons of space, Dale." It's like, well, that's all the space I've got. So whenever I get new games and there's a lot of big Kickstarters coming, something else has to go till I get a nice big house. So have I been going to any gaming conventions? I've been to one my entire life. That was Gen Con. That was over a decade ago. I do want to go again. Don't see that happening this September, so maybe next year in August 2022, I can get back out to Gen Con and hopefully meet a lot of the people that are watching this channel. So, and if so, which ones? Like I said, Gen Con. And what are my 5 favorite movies? The animated The Incredibles. Ace Ventura, Pet Detective. Lord of the Rings trilogy. I don't know if you count that as 1 or 3, so that's my top 5. And if you don't count those, we'll go with The Princess Bride and the original, the Iron Man that started all these great Marvel movies. So that'd be my top 5 there. Arthur, what do you think of the upcoming 2021, hopefully, Masters of the Universe Kickstarter for CMON? First action figure I ever got was the original Skeletor. I'll never forget my mom saying, "You picked the evil one." All in, please. Yeah, that's my favorite phrase. I'm all in on this Kickstarter. So Masters of the Universe, I think I got Skeletor and He-Man at the same time, along with the cat, whose name I can't remember. So I have not seen much on that Kickstarter. I know someone else did a Masters of the Universe, but the US didn't get it. So CMON, that's all you have to say. I'm definitely going to look into it. It will be some nostalgia there. Be very curious what they're doing with it. And I mean, I see that as being a one versus many type game, or it could be a totally cooperative where Skeletor and his things are run like AI. So definitely something I'll look at. Yes, you all know me on a Kickstarter. If it's something I like, it's hard for me to say no. Like I said, The Witcher coming out, I'm already all in. So, but I'll do a video anyway explaining why to justify that. So Chloride is back. Here's a serious question for me. Okay, all the others didn't matter. Excellent. What game do you absolutely adore but never sees table time because everyone else in your group hates it? It's Lord of the Rings LCG for me. My wife is my go-to gaming partner, but she can't stand it. Well, congratulations. My wife does not play games, and we just celebrated our 27-year anniversary. I asked if she wanted to play a game, and the answer is still no. But that's fine. We both have our hobbies, and it's all good. Games that like I said, I've been with my group for 20 years, so we have very similar tastes. Dwellings of Eldervale I got recently and took out. And like I said, typically I am not a worker placement type person. That game is worker placement. I love it though. I've only played it I think 3 times now. And it did not go with the group, so it won't get played back in the group. Fortunately, it was fun solo. So that is the one that's jumping out right now at me as a because everything else I love playing, I think they would too. So we'll go with that. Dwellings of Eldervale. Cthulhu Presidente. Favorite film? Yeah, The Incredibles. Favorite game? Marvel Champions. I hope I'm not cheating by repeating. Least favorite game? I really can't answer. I mean, if I don't like a game, I don't go back and play them again. And just because I don't like a game does not mean it's a bad game, even though there has been some terrible games made out there. Nothing's really jumping out at me. And if I don't like a game, it typically doesn't stay in my collection long. Marvel Champions favorite and least favorite scenarios. That is possibly the same scenario. Kang. If I'm playing solo, Kang is my least favorite. If I'm playing with multiple people, Kang is a lot of fun. It does take a lot longer because you got to go through all 3 versions of the villain, but it was meant for multiplayer. It does get longer with the more people, but I think the more people you have, the more it makes sense. All the others, it pretty much comes down to how much time do we have. Is it a new player? Like, so if I'm playing with someone new, Rhino is almost my go-to, just to teach the game to someone else. Least favorite, Ronin was my first. I'm not enjoying this game. It was almost hilarious. Sometimes, like, the difficulty in this game went up higher than what I feel like it should have. So when you're used to a certain difficulty at standard and expert, and you play a standard game that feels like you're playing Heroic 2, that was a shock to me. But now that I know what to expect, it's fine. So we'll go with that. So yeah, Kang is my least favorite, but still a lot of fun if you're in the right group. And all the others, yeah, I'll mix up. I don't like playing the same person all the time, or against the same person all the time. Daniel Craig, worst Kickstarters you backed. Let me bring up my Kickstarter list here and take a look. Let me scroll down the long list. All right, there we go. Run, Fight, or Die was my first Kickstarter I backed, and I guess that was in 2013. So that's when all the madness of gaming came in. After that these are not my worst favorite. I'm just going back in time, nostalgia here, to my first Kickstarter. Second was Star Realms, the deck building game. That was a great purchase. So which one did I like the least? We'll put it that way. Yes, worst Kickstarters. And Greed. Let me see here. I think that was a Queen Games. Yeah, it was an okay game. I think I played it twice and got rid of it pretty quick. Sorry, I clicked on a link and now it's refreshing everything. Now I've got to go all the way back down. Yeah, I think we'll just stop at Greed there for my worst Kickstarter I backed. That didn't stay in my collection long, along with Forge War. But of course, his next game he put out is one of the best games ever, according to a lot of people. So, all right, best Kickstarter. That is going to be Cthulhu Death May Die. That is one game I regret not going all in on. I got everything except the 3-foot Cthulhu miniature, if you can call it that. And after playing the game, I wish I had gotten that thing. You're going to be playing more Marvel United. Thought about going through the campaign. I'm probably going to play more. As far as a solo game, not so. Probably won't get many more of that done. With other people, I would like to go through the campaign. So yes, I will get some more of that played. Just don't know how much more will be on the channel. I did actually go through and paint some of the miniatures a couple weeks ago. Sometimes I take a break from playing games for a week or two, but I still stay related by painting miniatures. I'm not that good at it. They are definitely what I call tabletop ready, to where if they're this far away from you, they go, oh, that's neat. I like the look at that. But if you take it up and inspect it, not that great. But it still does add the quality to the game. All right, I've seen you on other channels. Do you ever plan on doing some games with them or others? Yes, so Jesse from Quackalope and Jan, they live about 2 hours away from me. Jesse is a busy individual, and I think it's awesome that once COVID breaks up, his plan is to get in his vehicle and just drive and meet other gamers. So I would love to do stuff like that. But I don't have that traveling thing, and he is a person that can sleep in his car and wake up the next day. I'm too old for that. I need my bed, and I don't see my wife wanting to travel the country while I play games with people. So, but getting with other channels, yes, I've done a couple of podcasts with Brant from Step Into the Portal. So, like I said, my internet connection is not the best. So I would like to do live things. As far as having people in here, I just don't have the space. This might look like a big area to play in, but it's half of a room, and don't need to know what the other half is, but let's just say I'm not bringing other people into this room, and my wife is awesome for letting me do this. So I've got a 4x4 game table in the back, and yeah, it's just, I don't see me having other people here, but I would love to collaborate with a lot other gamers. Pretty much any of the people I had mentioned on that other list, and a lot of other people in other places. Hugh from, I think he's got a channel. He's from South Korea. He started out doing some board game stuff, and now he's talking about books. And I remember him on the channel once he posted his first playthrough Marvel Champions, and I was like, hey, I can't find your website. And he responded back saying, well, it's not kid and family friendly. And I'm like, all right, that's fine. Show me what you're doing. It's hilarious. If you have a sense of humor and are okay with some language and some other things. So Plaguelands Media and Hugh, he's got like 30 subscribers, and he enjoys what he's doing, talking about books and games. So there's another one of the YouTuber things I didn't mention earlier. All right, do you enjoy legacy games? Scenario-based games for the channel, I feel rushed, like I have to play this game after the next game after the next game. But I'll do it and don't mind it. Legacy games outside of the channel, to where it's, as our group meets up, I don't feel so rushed with it. Yes, I'm fine with legacy games. And one of the game experiences I will always remember was playing Aeon's End Legacy, and something said destroy or rip up the card, and I took that card and ripped it and freaked everyone else out at the table. Because I'm usually a card sleever and very neat with my stuff. No one expected it, and it was funny at the time. But yeah, I do enjoy some legacy games. And let's see, what's next here? What are your keys to playing Marvel Champions? Well, your tips. I've probably played well over, well, let me see here. Board Game Geek has an app you can get on your phone. And if I unlock this thing and open it up, I can go, oh, it's got a new version it wants me to update. Well, I'm not going to do that now. I probably have over 150 plays of Marvel Champions, probably getting close to 200. So that's one tip. Play it a lot. Yeah, basically that's what it comes down to me. When I first got the game, I did practice before I started recording. Now, I mean, I feel comfortable with the rules, and I kind of like the excitement of learning the cards as I'm recording. So that does come for some bad plays at times and some missed rules because I'm not that familiar with the cards. But even with that said, I can forget things on a card that's been out from day one. So just playing the game. Once you figure out some of the villains, understanding certain synergies that will work or things that you need. So like if you're playing Ultron and you don't have a way to take care of multiple 1 and 2 health minions, I'm always going to have the Hulk as an ally when I'm facing that, or Thor. A lot of people don't like playing with Thor, but to me, he excels against Ultron because he's always getting engaged with minions. So finding those synergies that work, finding a play style that works for you. Like I said, my play style is simple and hit 'em hard, so that's why Captain America is my favorite hero in this game to play right now. He just fits my play style. So finding those things, sometimes learning the tricks from the rules. A lot of people are still playing like actions. People are not understanding that on someone else's turn, you can still do your actions to help them on their turn. So say something has tough and I can hit for 11 points of damage. I don't want to waste my 11 hit damage on tough. Someone else can do an action. So this isn't their hero exhausting to attack, but they can play a card in their hand that says action, deal a damage or do something to get rid of the tough so you can do something. So learning those little mechanics in the game can really help out if you're playing multiplayer. If you're playing solo, there's definitely some heroes that are better than others. So hopefully that was some helpful tips in there. But yeah, playing a lot kind of helps too. And I think this is my last one here. What solo game has given you the most epic feeling moments? I would probably have to go with Marvel Champions as the cheat out on this one. I've played it the most. There are times when I'm playing a game and I'm like, there's no way to win. There's no way to come back from this. And yet somehow you can pull it out. Trying to think of some other solo games here that gets pretty epic. I mean, Dwellings of Eldervale is huge, but I haven't had one of those epic games to where I got so excited at the end of the game that something happened that I didn't expect to happen. I play a lot of games expecting to lose or it to be close. So, so that is, let me double check. Yep, that's all the questions I've got for now. Spoke for almost an hour here, so that is way more than I usually speak without saying, hey, I'm going to play this card and do this thing. So hopefully you enjoyed this discussion. So please click on the like button below and be sure to subscribe. And I appreciate all of you watching this and supporting the channel and the gameplays. So thanks a lot.